welcome to Washington Central Podcast. I am Saurabh Shukla. I'm going to talk about the current round of what I call escalation on the war against Iran, because what's really happened that Iran fired at some civilian merchant vessels which were going through the Strait of Hormuz, clearly violating the terms of the ceasefire. The ceasefire terms clearly mention that for 60 days, while the two countries negotiate, US and Iran, pending a final agreement, they will allow these merchant vessels to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, the Iranian IRGC commanders, as I've been saying earlier, are not too happy about this MOU. They obviously feel that this is tying them down, and especially the nuclear option, because they believe that Iran, which has the nuclear option, is much more powerful. It can flex its muscles as it demonstrated during the Iran war, and also can then hit targets within the Middle East at will, also can target European countries, and who knows, they can develop bigger ballistic missiles which may be able to carry a full-scale nuclear payload. So lots is happening behind the scenes. President Trump authorized strikes against Iran. This was directed at Iran's missile infrastructure, drone infrastructure, and obviously at the military targets in Iran. He also, on the sidelines of the NATO summit, said that the ceasefire is effectively dead. He believes and he blamed the Iranian regime for not fulfilling the promises, and that the fact that they were not adhering to the norms of this MOU. Clearly, there is a frustration which is setting in within the establishment here in Washington, D.C., President Trump's closest advisors at this MOU not really working, because for them, they were very keen that they come out of this war by making sure Iran does not have nuclear weapon, and obviously the regime does not have a strong support. And obviously, at the funeral of the Iranian leader Khamenei, clearly there was a groundswell of support. The groundswell was also made possible because people and supporters of I would say pro-democracy, people who wanted progressive change in Iran, they obviously could not get enough support. And with the IRGC mounting a whole new, I would say, uh, round of repression, they were not able to overcome this. And certainly the whole regime change operation, which obviously was not the stated objective, but clearly could have helped the situation. That did not happen. So tactically, that did not play up the way in which the US and Israel would have wanted, where they would have expected a regime change from the totalitarian, I would say draconian regime of the Ayatollahs and IRGC commanders to a more progressive regime. That never happened in Iran. So that obviously led to some kind of a, I would say, uh, a stoppage of sorts for them in terms of their strategic designs. What's really happened now is something which can really spiral out. Spiral out, I say it because that can lead to a full-blown war, even though President Trump has said that he will not mount a full-scale operation. He wants this to be quick and short. But as we have seen in military strategy, often that does not work. That means that the world is again at the brink of a war. Obviously, the global oil prices have shot up. The markets have reacted, and this will have an impact on rest of the world as well. What happens next? There are two scenarios. As I've been saying, that this has been one of the most unpredictable conflicts. And as a geopolitical strategist, even I can say it openly that it has been a difficult one to predict. There will be more, I would say, surprises in the next few days. So my prediction for the next phase is that phase one, obviously, The interlocutors will work overtime to see that this is a localized escalation. Iran, goes back to the terms of the deal of the MOU. Countries like Qatar will again try to persuade the Iranian leadership and also come to the US side to say that they should stay invested in this MOU. So obviously there will be a freeze. Scenario two can be again back to hostilities. That would mean that US will mount some kind of a military operation. Again, it will not be a ground operation at all because that's something which the US side will not want strategically because US is facing a midterm election. President Trump clearly does not want that. His own Republican Party, most of the leaders are saying that we need to get out of this war fast as possible, making sure that we do not get into a prolonged war. But whatever happens, the scenario three will be true that there will be uh, some bit of, I would say, uncertainty, flux yet again. Asia will be impacted. Countries like India will continue to be impacted. So, brace up for some shocks going ahead. So that's my prediction for what's really happening. But the situation is serious. It's not that all's well as we were hoping. I've been saying that the world needs this war to end, but clearly, I would say that level heads should prevail. And obviously, we have to make sure that a more strategic view is taken. And obviously, countries across the globe have to join in to create an atmosphere of trust, which is missing. And that's the reason why you see uh, another round of fresh, I would say, escalation happening on this war against Iran. And certainly, the situation is more complicated than it was ever was. Shifting focus, on the other side of the world, Prime Minister Modi is on a whirlwind tour, and it's a very strategic tour. And I say strategic, it's not about bilateral relationship alone. India now realizes that while it continues to have China as an adversary, recent US, I would say, not a rapprochement, but clearly uh, President Trump's visit to China, President Trump talking about China as being a supporter in the war against Iran, clearly sends out a message that India will have to fight its own battle when it comes to China. Whether it's an AI race, whether it's a race on manufacturing or on the military strategic domain, India will have to make sure that while it continue to engage China, it continues to work with the Chinese leadership. It will also have to create levers. So countries like Indonesia are very, very strategic when it comes to be it strategic choke points like Strait of Malacca, also a wider South China Sea, and being a country which has a large Muslim population, being on India's side, strengthening relationship with Indonesia strengthens India's global position as well. And so goes the case with Australia and New Zealand, both for the trading relationship, the fact that they both need an ally like India, which can together then take on China's threat. So this is India's way of creating, I would say, a middle power strategic alliance, so to say, where India becomes the leader of that alliance, also sends out a message to these countries that we are there to support you. We have a lot of convergence of views, and also while we continue to engage with big powers like the US, clearly, and we have a good relationship going there, alliances like Quad cannot be the only way we deal with issues in Asia Pacific or Indo Pacific, as India likes to call it clearly. So I would say, in a world where the geopolitics is getting redefined, India is also carving an alternative strategy. An alternative strategy is the reason why Prime Minister Modi is there, beyond the bilateral realm and beyond the realm of joint statements and what is being said, having studied Indian diplomacy for a long time, and especially a foreign policy of India under Prime Minister Modi, which is more strident, which is also more self reliant and more confident, is charting out a new strategy of seeing where India can hedge its bets in a scenario where they have to deal with China on their own. Thank you for listening to Washington Central Podcast. And also, wherever you are watching us, do share and let us know what topics would you like us to focus on this podcast. Have a great day.